Call the meeting to order, the meeting of April 25th, 2024, the Franklin Municipal Planning Commission. We'll start with a roll call. Commissioner Allen is absent tonight. Commissioner Franks?
Here.
Commissioner Harrison?
Present.
Commissioner Lindsay's present. Commissioner Mann?
Here.
Commissioner McLemore?
Present.
Commissioner Orr?
Present.
Alderman Peterson?
Here.
And Commissioner Williamson?
Present.
So we are in order. The next part of our meeting is for citizen comments. This is a time that's open for citizens to be heard on any issue or concern. If you would like to speak on a specific item on the agenda, we ask that you wait until we call for the citizen comment for that specific item. For all citizen comments, though, we ask that you fill out a speaker card, one of the cards on the table next to the column back here, and then hand it to one of our staff members, and they will get it to me. And then when you come up to the microphone at the lectern, we'll ask you to state your name and address, and then we'll ask you to limit your comments to 2 minutes. So, are there any citizens that would like to speak to the commission at this time? Yes, sir? Have you filled out a card? Yeah. Okay. Are you Eric Brockway? Okay. Come forth, Eric. Are you speaking on item number 7?
Yeah, I believe it's number 7.
Okay, why don't you take a close seat there and just hang on for a few minutes. I'll call you when we get to item 7. Okay, next item, approval of minutes, consideration of approval of the March 28th, 2024 Franklin Municipal Planning Commission meetings. Is there a motion for approval?
Move for approval.
We have a motion for approval by Alderman Peterson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Orr. Are there any comments, questions, corrections to the minutes?
Chairman, I wasn't here for the meeting last month, so I won't be voting on the minutes.
Okay. Okay, so by roll call vote, Commissioner Franks,
Here.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrison,
Abstain.
abstain?
Abstain,
Okay.
I wasn't here last one.
Okay. Commissioner Lindsay votes aye. Commissioner Mann
Yes.
and Commissioner McLemore, you said you're going to recuse on this item. Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Alderman Peterson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
Great, that motion passes. Are there any staff announcements tonight?
I just have one announcement. Earlier tonight at Joint Conceptual Workshop, we heard an item about the development plan for the Bousquet Place, and there was some discussion about the neighborhood meeting. That neighborhood meeting has actually already occurred in the past when they came for the first Joint Conceptual Workshop that they presented at. They just came tonight to update you based on the change on access. So there's not actually a neighborhood meeting required for that change since it's minimal. So I just wanted to update you that there's not actually another neighborhood meeting for that project.
Thank you.
Right, okay, thank you. Okay, the next is for our consent agenda. This is consideration of approval of items 3 through 6, items 8 through 16, items 19 and 20, and items 22 through 24, which will be on our consent agenda. And a consent agenda is a group of items that will be handled in one motion without discussion. So these are typically routine matters, and so is there a motion for approval of the consent agenda? Or does anybody wish to take an item off of consent? Seeing none, is there a motion for
Move for
approval?
approval.
We have a motion for approval
I'll
by
second.
Commissioner Harrison, second by Commissioner Williamson. Our roll call, Commissioner Franks. Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye. Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Orr?
Aye.
Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
And Commissioner Williamson?
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Okay, so the first item on our agenda is item number 7. This is for the Echelon PUD subdivision, the final plat, Section 1. And this is a motion to call the letter of credit for performance agreement for the green infrastructure improvement. So we'll start with staff presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Echelon PUD subdivision final plat, Section 1, was approved with conditions on May 18th, 2015. The performance agreement was signed on June 19th, 2015. The irrevocable standby letter of credit was issued on March 14th, 2017. Every year, an action request is mailed to Crescent Palmetto Bluff, who is the developer, giving them the opportunity to ask for the performance agreement to be released to maintenance. An action request was received on June 9th, 2017 that was signed by a licensed design professional stating they inspected the site and requested a 75% reduction. The city inspector inspected the site and agreed with the request to reduce the green infrastructure improvement by 75% from $261,000 to $65,250. Other than a request to extend for 1 year, that was the last request received for this project. The property owners have complained to the city several times about the unresolved stormwater issues. Engineering staff have made several attempts to contact the developer to complete the remainder of the work, but no progress has been made. Calling the surety will allow the city to complete the improvements needed, and the dollar amount that will be called will cover the cost. Staff recommends that FMPC declares the performance agreement for Echelon subdivision Section 1 to be in default and authorize the calling of the agreement and surety for the completion of the improvement.
Okay, thank you. Public comment. Eric Brockway, you're welcome to come to the lectern and speak on this item.
Yeah, my name is Eric Brockway. I live at 122 Obrey Court, the property in question that we just talked about there. So I'm here to say that we are in favor of calling the bond so the city can take over turning the property, the back part of the property, into an easement, and then doing the work necessary to take the stormwater and drainage issue away. So I look forward to your favorable vote. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak to this item? Seeing no one else, is there anyone here representing the applicant? I don't see anyone. So is there a motion on this item?
Move for approval.
Second,
And that's a motion to
to call the bond.
declare the performance agreement to be in default and authorize calling the agreement. Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Orr. And was that a second by Commissioner McLemore? Any further discussion?
I just want to say, I think this is the first time we've actually seen a request before us since I've joined to declare default. And I know we've had a lot of discussions over the past several years about how to hold things accountable and developers accountable. And so I appreciate the city's willingness to bring this in front of us. We spend 99% of our time reviewing plans and making modifications. And this is the promise that we receive in return, that they're going to follow those plans. And when they don't, then there needs to be repercussions and there should be accountability. And we provided ample time for them to come do it themselves. So I am very much in favor of calling this default.
Great, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, by roll call vote, Commissioner Franks? Aye. Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye. Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Orr?
Aye.
Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
and Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Eric. Okay, the next item is item number 17. Consideration of ordinance 2024-15, an ordinance to remove 0.18 acres out of the Central Franklin Overlay District, the CFO, and zone into the Columbia Avenue Overlay District 1, that's the CA01, the Urban Commercial Development Subdistrict, for the property located south of South Margin Street and west of Cummins Street, located at 314 Cummins Street. So I'll turn it over to staff for a presentation.
Yes, thank you. The applicant is requesting to remove 0.18 acres from the Central Franklin Overlay District and zone that property into the Columbia Avenue Overlay District 1, or CA01. The subject property is located at 314 Cummins Street and is currently zoned in the Central Commercial District. Overlay districts are in addition to the base zoning district and provide additional regulations to maintain the established characters of that district. The Columbia Avenue overlay is intended to enhance the character and function of the Columbia Avenue gateway into Franklin. The CA01 specifically includes properties along Columbia Avenue between 5 Points and Folk Street and is characterized by a mix of 1- and 2-story commercial buildings built over time, 2 historic residential buildings, and shallow front building setbacks with some variation. Most properties in the CA01 district span from Columbia to Cummins Street. However, this is one property that does not touch Columbia, yet is surrounded by the existing CA01 overlay district. The CA01 district rezoning is compatible with the surrounding properties that are already within the CA01, and this rezoning will provide a more cohesive design for future development. Staff recommends approval of ordinance 2024-15. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, does anyone from the public wish to speak to this item? My understanding is that former Mayor John Scherer has accepted responsibility for the failure of this item to...
Me and Matt Taylor.
Okay,
Both of us.
okay.
But he's getting paid to do this.
Is there anyone representing the applicant that would like to speak to this item?
Thank you all. I'm Matt Taylor with Studio 8 Design. We brought our margin project when we were talking about the Envision Franklin before you all with joint conceptual. And this is a portion of that project where the rest of the property, because it runs from Columbia to Cummins Street, was part of the Columbia Avenue Overlay District. And this is sort of a miscellaneous administrative cleanup to pull this one little chunk that got left out because it doesn't go all the way to Columbia, but will eventually be part of the master plan development there. So we're bringing that forward to just bring all of the property into the same rules and regulations there. And that's it.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion on this item?
Recommend approval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Second.
We have a proper motion recommending approval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen by Commissioner Harrison and a second by Commissioner Franks. Any further discussion? Seeing none by a roll call vote, Commissioner Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye, Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Alderman Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Okay, item number 21,
18.
18.
18, wait a minute. Got ahead of myself. Okay. Consideration of ordinance 2024-14, an ordinance to rezone 1.11 acres from residential 4, R4, to office residential, OR, district, for the property located north of West Main Street and west of Roberts Street at 1138 and 1142 West Main Street. I'll turn it over to staff for presentation.
Thank you. The subject property currently consists of two single-family residential lots and are Lot 17 and 18 of the Petway Place subdivision. Envision Franklin places these parcels in the neighborhood mixed-use design concept, which provides specific language for new development inside McCatcher Parkway, which states, "The small-town identity of the area should be preserved through special attention to massing and scale of new development. Historic structures are important community resources and should be preserved and protected. New buildings should be designed to be compatible with the predominant character along the street and should be sensitive to nearby buildings." The properties are located along West Main Street across from commercially zoned properties and adjacent to established residential subdivisions. The recommendations of the neighborhood mixed-use design concept support zoning districts with high activity and retail opportunities such as central commercial. However, the office residential zoning district provides a more contextual and transitional district that allows for both residential and limited non-residential opportunities that maintain the recommendations and principles of the neighborhood mixed-use design concept. The applicant has not submitted any additional plans for redevelopment of the property at this time. However, any new development would be limited to the house building type to be compatible with the established neighborhood, and any new height would be limited to a maximum of 2 stories. The properties are also within the Central Franklin overlay, which provides additional regulations for new development in the central core of the city. And just as a project consideration, the sanitary sewer at this location must be evaluated for increased sewer flows to accommodate any future redevelopment. Staff recommends approval of ordinance 2024-14 to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joey. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this item? Seeing none, is there anyone here representing the applicant?
Hello, my name is Shelley Luckett, and this is my husband, James Luckett, and we are at 2085 Carters Creek Pike here in Franklin. And these homes were actually left to us, and they're beautiful little homes, and we are doing everything we can to kind of preserve them and keep them as intact as we can without, bringing in, more of, infrastructure and things like that. We really want to keep them as homes. But we're just basically wanting to open up our options as to what we can actually do with the homes. And we still have not figured that out yet. But we actually want to keep them versus selling them. But obviously they cost a lot of money to upkeep and just to sit. But we are very happy with the OR from the planning committee. And they, in fact, y'all were wonderful helping us to get to this point. Thank you again for that. But, other than that, we are pleased and accepting of what has been ordered right now. And so if, you all have any questions, otherwise we are, like I said, we are satisfied with the decision.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion on this item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve this recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen by Commissioner Franks, and a second by Commissioner Harrison. Any further discussion, questions?
I have,
it's part of the Petway subdivision really there, and there's an awful lot of just housing, back behind that. I mean, Main Street, West Main has a lot of other things also, but whenever you look at everything that's, several streets back behind that and everything, it's just containing housing. And so I was a bit concerned and was never able to look up to see exactly what office residential means. I mean, I tried to find it in the zoning ordinance, and the zoning ordinance has been, amended several times, but I just could never find what it says would be allowed in office. Well, wait, there's some little things that go dots saying what would be allowed in office residential, but And I know there's plenty of that kind of in this area and everything, but I was still a bit concerned about the people that are all living back, behind this.
I was just gonna say,
You wanna say something? Go ahead.
Did you have a question? For staff?
Well, later on, you'll have to show me in the zoning ordinance where it really tells what office residential does, but
Oh,
I'm
I
not
can
asking
read
to
it
do that
to you.
now.
Oh, okay.
I mean, unless.
It's on page 82 and 83 of the zoning
I
ordinance.
looked.
Okay, the office residential zoning district has permitted uses, the little dots, that
That's right.
allow single-family residential as a use, passive parks and open spaces, charitable, fraternal, and social organizations,
Right.
essential services, offices.
But it's on just little dots on what's allowed there or not. I never could find anything about what the zoning type is, though it just has little, what can be allowed there or not, compared to what was in the one that I have a printout of is 2019, and it had 2 pages there where it told about what was allowed there. But it's not a big deal.
Oh, the directors pointed out in chapter 3, under office residential, you could go to page 40, and that's 2 pages of what's permitted in terms of
Okay.
setbacks, height, lot
Right,
width, et cetera.
Setbacks and heights.
There you go. So that's page 40 and 41 of the
Right,
zoning ordinance.
I did see that. Yeah.
but it would be commercial.
I'm sorry, what was the
It would be
question?
commercial if it's office residential.
It's office, no. it's not
Office
commercial,
only,
it's
not commercial.
Not commercial.
Commercial uses are not permitted in OR.
Thanks.
And I'll say one of my kind of first concerns looking at this in an aerial map and then street view is that there's residential behind it. But then I also did pull up the City of Franklin zoning map, which is kind of continuation of that. And kind of what I noticed is that as you continue down Main Street, there is kind of a corridor of the same zoning. And so then that helped me kind of put this into kind of the bigger puzzle piece of where this property is.
My observation too is that I know that across the street and just a little bit closer to downtown, there are a couple of properties there. One of them, I think, is owned by Robin Hood, that's used as a commercial, used as an office, perhaps.
Yeah, on the map, you can see across the street is a central commercial zoning district. Just to the northwest is PD, and then you have office residential sort of going off the page in that area. The blue is office residential as well, looking
Right.
at the map.
Yeah, so it's not inconsistent with what's in that same general area, so. Any other comments or questions?
I can support this for the reasons that Roger just articulated, that I think it's consistent with the area. I would encourage you to really try hard to find a way to keep these as residential use. There's a lot of folks that want to live in the downtown core, and a lot of the houses have been turned into offices. They look great, they're functional, but would love to get some more folks in the core. So just want to encourage you to keep doing that.
Yeah, okay. So we have a proper motion and a second to recommend approval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. By roll call vote, Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsey votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Orr.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
And Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. And our thanks to you for your stewardship of those properties that you came to.
My mother-in-law would, have to give you, she could. I don't like that we the homes, and we love them as much as we do. So we're willing to make, keep Franklin as small as we can, and just as beautiful as possible.
Sure. Thank you very much. Okay, item number 21. Franklin South Business Park subdivision, site plan, lot 106, revision 1, developing a telecommunications tower on 1.03 acres located at 4404 Franklin South Court. Staff presentation?
Yes, thank you. The applicant is requesting to develop a telecommunications tower on the property located at 4404 Franklin South Court. The property consists of 1.03 acres and is zoned Regional Commerce 12, which allows for the use of telecommunications towers with additional regulations on location and proximity to residential uses. The site plan as submitted meets those additional regulations. Site plans for telecommunication towers require approval from the Planning Commission and cannot be administratively approved. That's why it's here on the agenda this evening. So staff recommends approval with conditions of the site plan for the Franklin South Business Park, Lot 106, Revision 1. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone here from the public wish to speak to this item? Seeing none, is there anyone representing the applicant?
Good evening. My name is Russell Bean. I'm with Selective Solutions. We are a site acquisition consulting company hired by Vertical Bridge. My address is 340 Marshall Road, Valley Park, Missouri, 63088. We've worked very hard with the city to comply with the site plan requirements. We agree with the conditions as requested and would request that you approve our site plan and would be here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion on this item?
Move for approval of
Second.
staff conditions.
With condition. We have a motion for approval with staff conditions by Commissioner Harrison and a second by Commissioner, was that McLemore? Okay. Is there any other discussion or questions?
I got several.
Okay, go ahead, Jimmy.
Where's the illustrations and the pictures of this tower, and is that all you're providing today? Is that all we're going to see, or do we have a interstate view shed of it and a cul-de-sac view shed of it? And I don't like it because there's a vacant lot at the end of that cul-de-sac that's got a lot of value to it. There's a garage door company that's got a lot of value that won't sell. So are you on the lot to the right of that garage door company?
I believe so.
Okay, so I can just picture that right there, and I didn't like the one y'all put over there off of another street that I noticed. I like the one you did on McCatcher at that church. I suppose you're involved in that one?
No, sir.
Okay, well, they built a facade around it, and you don't even know it's there. But in any case, I know we need it, you know, but I was hoping you'd have some same kind of submittal that every other applicant has to have that shows some illustrations of it. And
We did work with the staff and turn those in.
okay.
They were in the agenda packet. I'd assume they had made it to
My
you.
other issue is, you know, we have Long Lane overpass scheduled to be built at some point, and there's a lot of land up there on that Long Lane and along that interstate right of way. It looked like to me that'd be less intrusive to business owners there as well as the residential over in Ladd Park. So is that area, do you have a range of that within a mile there that works? If some land opportunity would be opened up by the city?
We've been working on this site for about a year and a half. Been working with the city for about 8 months.
I don't like it. I'm not for it.
I was trying to look through the agenda, or the materials provided in the agenda, and I couldn't get them to load. And so if you could pull them up on the screen, are you able to do that? Because it would be helpful to see the visual, and I tried it a couple times and just couldn't get them. But I do see where they were submitted. And while he's pulling that up, for staff, can you help me understand why this is something that you would not be able to administratively approve and why it comes to FMPC?
From the long history of cell towers coming in, there's generally public comment for a majority of them.
Okay.
This location obviously didn't generate much tonight, but we have historically had public comment, and the Planning Commission has always been very interested in hearing where these want to get or desiring to go. So staff has never felt comfortable proposing that these be an administrative approval. They seem more appropriate for a public forum for that approval.
Understood. Thank you.
And I think the only question I had looked through some of the packages and all. I'm just curious as to the height on this. It might have been on there. I did not catch that information.
Our tower is 150 feet and with a 10-foot lightning rod, so an overall 160 feet.
Okay.
The purpose is to not only cover the highway corridor and the interchange there, but also to add capacity to the new development across the highway without having to put a tower on that side of the highway.
And then the only other question, it looks like just from where the houses are from a residential standpoint, it looks like it's well away from them. But out of curiosity, do you know offhand how close this is to, and it looks like maybe the people at the end of the Alfred Ladd Road, about how far it is from the housing areas?
We're quite a bit of ways from any of the houses.
Yeah, it looks like you are.
More than the height of the tower, double probably.
Okay.
We're trying to measure that currently, but you might have to give us a few minutes.
Okay.
There's no computer.
Other comments, questions?
Can't see it.
Are there any alternatives to 160-foot cell tower that are smaller in scale?
More towers. More towers.
Okay, and I'm just not familiar with telecommunications, candidly. So I mean, I've heard of small cell, and I just don't know what all the differences are. So I'm just trying to help educate me.
And my first, I was hired to do this job in November 18th, 1999. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've done thousands of towers, and I've watched the technology change. I've watched all the different options come and go. The small cells, where a small cell might go, would be in the middle of that new development on a light post, and it would literally cover the 8 houses around there, or it would be used to accentuate coverage at a major intersection where during rush hour traffic might get backed up. But the small cells are an extension of the macro cells, and what we're proposing here is a macro cell to increase coverage. The coverage at that intersection of the highway and along that corridor, just from where the residential has developed, and when cell phone networks were first being designed, they were being designed based around commercial and based around major thoroughfares. And that's just because the first people to have cell phones were people that had them in their cars. They used to be called car phones. And so they didn't really get developed around the residential areas. And now everyone has a cell phone. I bet everyone in here has one in their pocket, and they check their emails before the meeting started. And with that increase in use has come increased capacity needs, which is why we're having, over the last 2 years, I've put up about 600 towers around the central part of America. And it's just in order to have the small cells work, you have to have the macro coverage, these bigger cell towers. And that's what basically the macro tower that we're putting here would be the backbone of any future small cells that would be put into the area.
So how far apart do you need to have these macro towers? And where's the current closest macro tower?
The closest towers are on the backside of the hill that the Ag Expo was on. If you would have asked me that question 10 years ago, I would have said these towers can be anywhere from 3 to 5 miles apart. But that's changed, the question's changed. It's no longer a matter of how far the antennas reach. It's a matter of how many people they can service at one time. So it's not so much a matter of how far, but a matter of how many. And as more and more people move out this direction, that's more and more people that are driving down the highway, the more and more people that are using their phones, the closer these towers are gonna have to be. If you would ask me, is there another one coming? I can almost guarantee you there's gonna be another tower within the next 6 months, probably requested for somewhere in this area, just because there's so much development and there's so many people traveling Highway 65 now that coverage is needed. We are in Nashville, downtown Nashville. I just put 2 that are less than a quarter of a mile apart. And these are 100-foot macro towers.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Is the current tower there that's on top of the hill there above the Ag Center, is that not upgradable? Can that tower not develop?
Our client is actually already on that tower. They are in need of additional coverage, so they are adding to their coverage.
There's not enough room on that tower for more?
That tower is actually serving
Okay.
the residential area to the northeast. And this tower is going to be servicing the majority of what it's trying to cover is this area. And then it'll be helping to add capacity to the new development there, which is beautiful, by the way. And that's what we're trying to cover there. And that tower that's on the backside of the Ag Expo wouldn't be able to cover that area there with sufficient capacity.
Did you look at property on the other side of the interstate?
We did not, because the property that we're on is a commercially zoned property, which is recommended by your ordinance, so we look there.
Well, there is that old MAPCO and all that's being developed now and over on Alp Drive, or whatever the name of the street. But in any case, and that's a big tower right there next to those 2 commercial lots. I'd hate to see it go there. I think, it's not. What else have you looked up?
We actually all up and down that side of the highway, we talked to the travel center. We talked to the county about possibly putting on there, and they were not wanting to work with us. And then we talked to everyone in that.
Well, why wouldn't you go to the very end lot, in that vacant lot?
We approached everyone in that lot.
Instead of pulling it.
We approached
their front door.
We approached everyone in that commercial subdivision, and the only people that were willing to work with us were the owners of that lot.
It's about the money, right? Because I know you can buy that vacant lot for $1.1 million right now. And so when you stick that tower in his front door, that's just gonna hurt his value of an expensive office building that potentially has 3 stories or 6 stories there. I just hate to see you do that. I know we're pretty stringent when it comes to design standards and standards of a lot of other things and I know we need it.
And we really have been working with the city for months on end. We've changed our site plan in numerous times to meet the requests of the city.
Are you on the rear of that lot?
We're about midway through the lot due to the setback requirements.
Well, how far off the street are you?
We're about 80 feet, 90 feet.
Which is in front of the current building, or?
No, sir, it's behind the building.
It's behind. So is that the only picture you brought on the screen there? Or what else did you submit?
Pages.
Pages. I mean, I have the whole set, but they're full size.
Yeah.
If I could bring them over and see them.
And y'all, staff supports it.
Yes, we do. Meets the requirements that are in the zoning ordinance.
Right.
And to answer your question, Commissioner Williamson, from the northeasternmost part of this property to the first lot on Alfred Ladd Road, it's 1,750 feet.
Okay, so over a quarter mile then.
Was the property owners noticed?
What was your question?
Was the current property owners there all noticed of this?
Well, the current property owner that it's going on, we have an owner affidavit from them saying they're aware of this application moving through.
People, businesses,
It's not required of the zoning ordinance to do that.
why wouldn't they be notified about this important meeting tonight?
It was published in the paper, so they were notified that way.
But no signs were put up.
No signs are required for site plans.
Well, I mean, I'd motion for a deferral, but, and notify the owners of those vacant lots. And the current owners that know that their buildings are gonna get, potentially redeveloped on that street. And you got a tower gonna be in front of 3 different lots, let alone the one across the street from it.
If
I don't know how to resolve it, I don't know.
If I might be assuming wrong, but tonight we're just here for the site plan review. The towers are permitted,
Already.
so if you did invite everyone in, all they would be doing is
It's missing.
looking at the site plan that you're reviewing.
Okay.
I don't like it. It's not right. We're about to do this. If you had your office over there, would you want this tower in front of your front door? Of course not.
You want to make a motion to amend
I'd like to make a motion to amend and
or
deny,
to defer, I mean?
or defer, or deny. I'm gonna try to deny.
I mean, there's a substation right across the street from it. So it's not like it's
Like to do
Not
that.
a propane gas.
We're just gonna wait out of order on this.
electrical substation.
Yeah, there's electrical substation right across the street.
So as soon as you turn in that cul-de-sac, you see the electrical substation on the left, this tower will be on the right.
Yeah,
So
on
it's
the
already
left, right there at the entrance.
mega industrial in the cul-de-sac.
And then you've got the propane tank company up there, that's got all the propane tanks.
So it's not, the substation wasn't there, it's not like it's gonna be a huge detriment to
Oh, it'd
that
be better
area.
to be up there by the substation.
So it's kind of where it should be.
All right, we've got a proper motion and second to approve with conditions this item. So if there's not any other action, then we need to vote on this motion.
I'd like to amend it.
You want to move to amend, you want to amend to defer? Is that what would be the proper motion we would?
Right now, what you have before you is a motion to approve with conditions.
Already.
A motion to defer would interrupt that motion and take precedence to be voted on. There's no way to amend the current motion into an actual denial. The
Right.
current motion is approved with conditions.
Right.
So I'll amend it to defer.
So we have a motion to defer. Is there a second to that motion?
A second is required.
Anybody, is there a second to a motion to defer? Seeing none, then that motion to defer dies for lack of a second. So we're back to the motion to recommend, a motion to approve with staff conditions. A motion made by Commissioner Harrison and seconded by Commissioner McLemore. So by roll call vote, Commissioner Franks,
No.
Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye, Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Alderman Peterson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
So that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there any other business tonight? No, thank you. Any other business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Harrison, seconded by Commissioner Orr. By roll call vote, Commissioner Franks. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye, sorry.
Commissioner Lindsey votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Orr.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
And Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
So we are adjourned.